Hey, Ola Bacholas, thank you so much for listening to the Men's Room podcast.
And thanks to our pals at the Advocates Law Firm for being great partners. Yes, even you, creepy Kyle.
Seriously, though, if you'd been injured as a result of somebody else in your car, on your bike, walking across the street, talk to our friends at the Advocates Law Firm and let them help you out.
Yeah, they're the best injury lawyers around, and they want to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Plus, your first consultation is free.
It's simple. You get injured, the advocates get results. Contact them today at advocateslaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
What's up? It's your boy, The Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
Our question, good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Tanner. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, guys. How's it going?
Hola.
Walking through Home Depot right now. It's kind of weird. Sorry, so I've got to sit down. But
don't worry, you'll be back.
Wait, where are you going to sit at Home Depot? You're going to sit on one of their display toilets?
No, I just sat on a cart. I said, this is good. So what happened to me when I was a child, actually, is my dad always brings it up, is I was probably about between the age of 2 to 3 years old, and I got really disgruntled with my father, and we had just moved into the new neighborhood, and I got mad about something, and I looked at him, and I just pooed my pants right in front of him.
On purpose?
Okay. Yeah, on purpose. Yeah, I was just mad and went, all right, you're going to deal with it. And the way he dealt with it is we were just in the neighborhood, and he stripped me naked and then took the garden hose out and then just sprayed me down in front of all the new neighbors.
That makes quite the impact. Yeah. You know what, Tanner? I like your style, though. Like, you know what? I stand in defiance of you.
I mean, you can't.
I get it though.
You can't you can't do that as an adult unless you got one right on deck, man.
Right, but I mean, like kids, they don't know to cuss yet. You know, they're not quite sure how to protest. But I like your move. Like, he'll hate this.
Yeah, exactly. And then he turned it around on me and just made it worse. You know, I'm just out in the front yard crying, getting hosed down with a garden hose.
Yeah.
In front of all the new neighbors.
I can guarantee your father, if they had kids, said, look, I don't ordinarily do this, but he pooped his own pants because he's mad at me. Every parent would be like, got it. Mm-hmm. I get it. Hose him in the back, man.
Awesome. You guys have a great night and keep up the great show. I love you.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
I like that
That is such a kid move.
I know, but that's...
All right. I'm going to crap my pants.
You couldn't do that as an adult. That's what I'm saying.
There's moments I could, but generally things have not happened in that moment. But I wouldn't. I can't... Well, let me take that back. You hear about people more than you should. You know, they get arrested, and because they're mad, not because they had to poop. They're just so mad at the cops for whatever reason. They're sitting in the back of the car, and we've had a couple of stories. And they pooped their pants just to kind of stink the cops out. Remember, the one chick had diarrhea and just let it go all over the back of the cop car because she was mad.
I think the difference is, too, as an adult,
you go to jail.
Well, even if I just, am mad at my neighbor and I poop in front of him, it's not like he's going to help me clean up. I got to take care of it.
Yes.
Right.
I feel like a little kid is still smart enough to be like, well, they're going to have to clean it up.
Right, they do it, not me.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROCK.
And let me just say that's one of those things that as a parent, at the moment, you're hostilely angry, but within 20 minutes, it's hilarious. It's one of the things where you call the spouse to be like, guess what your kid did? Because one thing I know in parent world.
That's right. It's not yours.
Your kid always, if somebody says what your kid did, it's negative.
Your daughter.
Say, what my kid did is something positive. And if it's ours, it just means we're both present. Do you know what your son did at school today? No, what did your son do? Every time. Hello, Emily. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola.
Hola.
Okay, so I don't know if mine is as good as, pooping out of spite, but when I was a kid, I was around maybe 10 or 11, and me and my friends used to ride around on our bikes because we thought we were cool and stuff, but there was this creek that was private property of these other neighbors that had a bigger house. It was kind of in the neighborhood, but kind of more exclusive, I guess. But we would go in this creek and we would find like a bunch of like weird random items in this creek, and we would like take our shoes off and like walk around in it. Well, me and my friend found this big, like literally 50-pound pig, like cement pig sculpture. So we picked it up out of the creek and just dragged it or whatever back to like my house, which was literally like probably a third or fourth a mile. We were just dragging it. And then we showed it to our parents, and they were just kind of like, okay, but then they made us keep it outside because, you know, as I got older, I kind of looked at it and I was like, why did I do that? And they're like, yep, you're going to keep it out there. So
what was it a statue of? Was that a pig?
Yeah, a pig, like just like this huge pig. I don't know why it was in there. Like,
I do.
What the purpose of it was, but it was in there, and we would find really weird items in there too, like
what else?
Well, sometimes condoms, sometimes like joints, sometimes, and you know, now it probably wasn't sanitary to walk around in it, but yeah. So we got the pig sculpture. That was our prize for the day.
Do you still have, or is the 50-pound cement pig sculpture still in the family?
No, they still have it. They still have it because when I go home to visit my parents, they like to rub it in my face, and then they showed it to my now fiance, and then told them the whole story about it.
I was going to say, oddly enough, that's one of those things that as a parent you keep, like, you're going to remember this. Just keep in mind, Emily, when your parents pass on, that will be in the will to you. It is coming back to your home.
There's nothing wrong with some lawn art, man. Lawn art, you know, whatever.
Is that lawn art?
It is. It 100% will.
Okay, all right.
Well, the 50 pounds.
I mean, people put gnomes out. I mean, listen, this has some sentimental value to it.
Would you leave your kid your gnomes?
I would never collect gnomes.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
No.
Yeah,
but the pig,
Miles, that's the right answer.
If you brought the pig home, it'd be like, this pig's going to be yours someday. But Emily there inspired me. New band name, Pooping Out of Spite.
What? I also think
that is a punk band right there.
If you find a pig full of condoms and joints, gets to come home.
Yeah.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROCK.
I believe we call that the adult pinata.
Ah.
Hello, Dylan. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, guys.
Hola.
All right, so I moved out to Washington from New Jersey when I was 2 years old, but when we used to live with my grandpa, he'd always keep vodka bottles and stuff under his bed and his couch because he was just a raging alcoholic.
That is the only reason why you have vodka bottles under your bed and couch, yes.
Yeah, so I would, learning to crawl and learning to walk, I would always end up finding him. I guess I was told I'd walk around with his vodka bottles, so they used to call me Dennis the Menace. I looked just like the kid from the show, and my grandpa looked just like the neighbor who hated the kid. So,
damn.
Yeah.
Did you ever try the vodka, as far as you know?
No, I don't think so, but I mean, I might have. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Now, your parents would know.
I know somebody in my family who does or did the exact same thing.
What, hide it all over the house?
I would go and he would, hey man, can you help me move some stuff in the garage or whatever?
Right.
And all of a sudden, ding, 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 and a bottle would roll out from someplace. And just like, there was like 3 or 4 of them. Like he just stashed all of his empties in the garage somewhere, hid it. And he'd hide bottles everywhere. You get in his truck, he'd have a bottle underneath the floorboard. I mean, anytime we went fishing, he had a bottle with him. Anytime that, if I woke up, he was already drunk.
But when you're
he
a
did
kid,
most of his damage as soon as he woke up, so nobody would know how much he
You
did.
don't necessarily know it. So my uncle,
but I never would have gotten in the car with him if I'd have known how messed up he was.
Like my uncle was always
Yeah.
drunk. He was drunk 100% of the time that I was alive, but I didn't know it. It's just when you saw this particular uncle, he acted a certain way, and he was never belligerent or anything like that. He's a fairly functioning alcoholic, but the only thing that you really noticed about him, his eyes were like Michael Jordan's, right? So like cat yellow eyes. And he was a smoker, and he was a real nice guy. Did not have all of his teeth, but again, and to me, that's just who he was. But the one thing about him, anytime you saw him, he gave you a big hug. Very sentimental dude, and it's just his breath. His breath reeked of booze, but again, we didn't parlay this.
You don't know what that smells, because it's a different version of
breath.
Of
but
booze.
That's just it. But it was a guarantee, man. And I mean, he only died like 5 years ago, and obviously I pieced it together as an adult. But as a kid, like my mom and some of his other siblings, they came from big 6 kids deep, 5 kids deep, whatever. They'd always kind of harass him a little bit. about everything all the time. And I never understood it. But again, you get older and you go, oh, right, he's drunk 24/7.
Right.
This is getting on the nerve. But again, to me and my brother, dude, he was the nicest guy. But this is the dude who was the pallbearer at his friend's funeral. And he shows up in the green suit. And his brother, my other uncle, they pull him aside. And they are just killing him. Like, we're goddamn green suit. It's your best friend. He died. You're a pallbearer. You're wearing green. I bought you a goddamn black suit like 2 years ago. They did that kind of thing for him, right? Where the hell's your suit? And he points at the casket. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
Because his buddy was also an alcoholic who was broke, didn't have a suit to be buried in. But he was that guy.
My mom used to drop me off at my grandmother's house. My grandmother, again, a raging alcoholic. And but she would take care of me during the day. She wanted to see me. She would, schedule these times or whatever. So I think I had spent the night there one night. And I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And my mom was going to come and pick me up on Sunday morning. So she gets there on Sunday morning, and I'm not feeling well. I'm sick. And by the time that we get home, I have thrown up in the car. I threw up a ton of vodka because my grandmother used to get up and she used to make screwdrivers and just do her thing.
Jeez, man.
And so what she told my mom was she's pretty sure that she had poured one, didn't know what happened to it,
right?
Poured another one, and I just thought it was orange juice.
Of course.
So when I'm eating my cereal and toast and everything else, she left her orange juice like on the coffee table or whatever on the kitchen counter. Because she wasn't getting me anything to drink, I just drank her orange juice.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, here I am. Because my mom was like, "You threw up alcohol. Like you absolutely you could smell it. It was in a certain
right. There's no doubt.
Exactly. And that from that point on, the sleepovers got fewer and far between. I was allowed to be there during the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's all she drank basically was screwdrivers. So
I had one grandmother, Mimi. She was a smoker and smoked in the house and everything. I remember as a little kid. She would trying to eat a cigarette. That was a big deal.
Yeah, kids will do that.
That's right. You don't know. You just see them smoking on it all the time. I think
you don't give it a thought.
Right, you're probably just must be good. It's always in grandma's mouth.
Right. That's something they really, really like. Yeah, my grandmother used to keep because she would she would smoke, but she would also do snuff, which again, never seemed weird to us, but in her bedroom, which was
dipping or snuffing?
Snuffing.
The old school?
Yes. They're old. Right.
You ever done that?
I have had
It is
snuff.
a quick buzz.
Oh, yeah, it's a quick buzz, man.
Jesus, man, it hit you fast.
I think the last time I did snuff, I was with you, Miles.
I think we both did it together, and he's like, "Down, whoa, hey, look out, hi, how you doing?"
Right, you seemed thrown off. My buddy pulled it out of the bar. I was like, dude, it's just snuff.
Right.
All right.
But I'm telling you, it explains a lot about my grandmother's disposition. She was always fired up, but she had her big spittoon and the half-gallon milk jug.
Yeah.
Right, the cardboard. So you couldn't see into it. But, and again, you grow up with this, so you don't give it a thought. But mid-conversation, and she's talking to me about I'm glad you and your brother came down. And you'd hear this thing hit, and it's like, you know what I mean? And just anytime she moved, it was always on the nightstand. Always on the nightstand. So, again, you kind of forget this is an unusual thing. And I'm about 11 years old now. My cousin is about 3. He thinks that it is a carton of milk. He did not drink any, but you have never seen every adult move so fast, scream no in unison, and get this thing out of his hands. Because he says milk, and people only half paying attention to him. So when they glance over, they realize he's tipping this thing up to drink it. Dude. He starts crying. He thought he did something wrong, so I had to pull him aside. I'm like, Grandma spits in there. It's like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude. When you hear all the loogies and all that, I'm like, that's where they go.
And don't drink milk that's been sitting out on the counter.
I don't think he wanted milk for a while.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROCK.
Want some milk?
No. Guess who it is, Ted?
James,
welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how's it going?
Hola.
Well, here's the story. Me and my Uncle Scooter, we were about 7 or 8 years old. This is about 30 years ago. My grandmother drove trucks, and we decided we wanted to go out in a pair of shorts and paint each other with the fifth wheel grease from head to toe. Yeah, she wasn't very happy about that.
How hard was that to get off?
Oh, it was terrible. It was the time of year, like cold and raining and wet, and she hosed us off out on the deck out front and also used the Brillo pad to scrub us up.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, she wasn't going to let us in the tub, so...
There's no way. You can't get... once it gets on something, it's just... It's going to stick. It's there.
I wouldn't go Brillo pad, but it's like, you got to figure out a way to get this off of you before you enter this house ever again.
That's exactly what she said, man. She was angry. Took a nice picture before she went to hosing us down, but Yeah, man, that was one of those ones.
That's the irony of it all, right? So your kids do some. My kids did the Sharpie mustaches. I was unaware of this, and then they start talking to me, and I realized, like, the worst part was my daughter had it on half of her face. So, like Victoria, right? They did a Pringles kind of curly mustache, but she had her hood up, and the direction she's talking to me was the clean side of her face. Then she kind of turned around to tell me something, and I'm like, what is that? And, kids are being kids. She's like, I drew a mustache and beard on. I'm like, with what? And she, like, please just don't be a Sharpie. Just don't. God damn it, it's a Sharpie.
How long did that stay on there?
Well, here's the thing. I go, where's your brother? She's like, oh, he's still downstairs. I'm like, call him up, please, dude. He was, it was the next level. She had done his artwork for him. He doesn't know. And I'm like, oh, my God, man.
Like goatee, mustache?
Goatee, the full same kind of Pringles mustache, and then eyebrows on top. And in the moment, you're not happy about it. But as I'm, like, reading them the riot act, I'm like, hang on 1 second. Phone out, picture, and then you get back to getting in trouble. Yeah.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? You are listening to The Men's Room.
Oh, drat. I was driving along minding my own business when that vulgar leech hit my Beamer with his pickup truck. I fear I've fractured my clavicle.
I say, old boy, don't simply put it in the hands of your insurance company to sort it out. Talk with the dedicated road solicitors at the Advocates Law Firm.
Pipe down, you old sod. The advocates will see your case through to the bitter end and won't sleep a fortnight until they have victory in their grasp.
Jolly good, old man. Jolly good indeed. You get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
As fathers, we must protect our children at all costs, and nothing threatens our babies more than poop. Day and night, poop threatens to attack their skin, make them cry, and ruin their favorite outfits. Hello Bello has stepped in to help us win the battle of the buns. Their diapers are absorbent, help prevent leaks, and come in a bunch of cute designs to make other babies jealous. They're affordable and delivered right to your door. To join the fight against poop, visit HelloBello.com and enter HELLO30 for 30% off your first order.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Mitchell. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola!
Hola!
How y'all doing today, guys?
Doing great, man.
Heck yeah. So, I have a story that my dad tells every single Christmas. So, it was, I was like 3 years old. I'm standing down at the bottom of the driveway, and I'm waving all the cars driving by. I think they're, like, outside doing yard work. And he finally realized after 5 minutes I was quoting a certain Cousin Eddie line from the Christmas Family Vacation movie. So I'm 3 years old down at the bottom of the driveway screaming at cars as they go by saying, Merry Christmas! Crapper's full! But...
Well, that's a great movie to quote.
It really is.
Quote that one for the rest of your life.
How long were you out there doing this?
Say again?
How long were you out there doing this?
I think I was out there for about 5 minutes until he realized, oh, crap, he's out there, screwing at people's desks or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, look, Randy Quaid would be appreciative that anyone remembers him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's something.
That's a funny thing, though.
Well, he didn't say the crapper's full, did he?
Well, no. I believe he dropped the S.
Yeah. And the
but
TV
even with your kid, like, if they're cut, you kind of go like, okay, don't say that, but that was funny.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROCK.
Apparently, my son had a moment of truth. He saved his money. He wanted to get a PS4. Yes, a 4, not a 5, whatever. He saved his money. He got it for his birthday, for Christmas, all this stuff. Wanted to get a PS4, so it arrived, I don't know, like a week ago or something like this. And we didn't tell him that it had arrived. And then after they went to school, my wife set the whole thing up because, God forbid, you just plug and play. You got to set up an account, all this crap, and then she downloaded whatever the 2 games were that he really wanted this thing for. So we're on the air, and I get a text from my wife. She's like, your son just dropped an effing S-bomb because he did not know it was there. He said, did the PS4 show up yet? She's like, I don't know. Why don't you look in the basement? So he goes down to the basement. Apparently, he lays eyes on it. Holy effing S! So I said, look, tell him I understand, right? Because it just had an overwhelming moment, but not again. So when I got home, he was even like, I'm really sorry. I said, I get it. I get it. You're overwhelmed. You're excited. You're super happy.
In the right context.
Right, that was the thing. And I said,
he used it in the right context.
That's the difference. It's not like you were at school and said this to your
angry.
teacher.
He wasn't saying it in any other way that you would say that because that's the way you feel.
It's what I would say if our Price is Right and they say you want a new car. Like, that would have been my result. Holy effing S.
Yeah, I mean, there's a famous video, like the standard home video that's on the...
camcorder or whatever.
Yeah, like the one you had to wear on your shoulder.
Yeah.
So I don't know where my dad borrowed it from or whatever. But same thing. Like we watched it for years. I don't know how old I am, but same thing. I come downstairs holy S.
Right.
Or something, or just look at all this S.
Right.
But same thing. It's all right, don't say that, but kind of
I remember getting
pass.
We didn't get in trouble. Well, maybe my buddy did because it was at his house. And when VCRs first came out, all right, this was mind-blowing. He was the only kid in the neighborhood that had one. I didn't even understand the concept. And he had recorded Caddyshack that had been played the night before on TV. My parents didn't want me to watch it, even though it's a TV edit. But we watched it. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. But one of the things had mic jacks. Do you remember that? Kind of like an old tape recorder. You could plug a microphone into it. But then you could record audio over whatever the video was. So you could do your old David Attenborough, if you're watching. Well, we recorded it with Super Friends, all right? And Batman and Robin on screen, it's animated. They're talking about whatever they're talking about. We're about 9 or 10 years old, so we're using all of the words that we have recently discovered, and we're recording it over top of Batman and Robin. So when you went back and watched this video, it is Batman and Robin. But everything they're saying, and like I said, it's just 10-year-old dumb stuff. They're going to put the D and do this, and blah, 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 mother effort, and we just think it's hilarious. Well, we forgot we did it. We got to play. His mom watches this. And I remember she did one of those things where she opens the door and she doesn't say anything. She just puts her hand down, wiggles her finger for us to come here. So you kind of sense like something's up. But again, we forgot we did this. And we're both like, no, man, we didn't do anything. No, we should be fine. We should be fine. And we walk into the living room and she just hits play. And it's one of those things, you're just so uncomfortable. She doesn't say anything, right? But we're now listening to us and all these things that we said that 10-year-old boys say. I'm sure my kid's saying it right now, right? But you just don't do it in front of adults. And she sat there and watched it with us, which made it so awkward. And I remember her looking at me going, do you know what Robin would have to do what he just said he would like to do to Batman? I'm like, I don't. She's like, okay, in this house, we don't use that language. That's all she said, right? And I mean, but it was still mortifying. My buddy may have gotten in more trouble, but I don't know. But look, it wasn't hey, I need to call your parents thing.
Again, I think you got to put everything on,
Yeah, but as a kid, I don't know that she probably laughed for 20 minutes before she even addressed it. This is so stupid. But, oh, my God, it's just so weird sitting there yeah, we were saying some filthy stuff.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROB.
All that said, I guarantee you that everything that we said, Robin would be down for.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, boy, wonder.
Hey. Hello, Mario. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
First time caller. Appreciate what you guys do.
Hey, thank you, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, so my story, my dad wouldn't let me live it down when he was alive. We used to party down on the railroad, or off the railroad tracks a ways. On my way drunken home one night, I came across a dead bald eagle. And decided to bring it home.
Huh. Yeah. That's a big bird.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy carrying it home since I walked all the way. It was probably about a mile and a half.
Did anyone see you? I mean, did anyone drive by and do a double take?
I honestly, I do not recall. I lived here up north of Seattle, so kind of quiet neighborhood. And so I put it in the garage and left it there and went to bed and was woken up by my dad the next morning, and he was just pretty furious and flabbergasted of how and why I had a dead bald eagle, and then proceeded to tell me how illegal it was for us to be in possession of that bald eagle.
I wonder what you do there.
I mean, that's like out of your dad.
That's his entire
angle. Wildlife, and they come over and take the thing. I don't know the protocol.
If you brought home a dead crow, he'd be like, "Hey, man, just don't do that anymore." A bald dead eagle, it's like, "Hey, man, I'm not going to jail for you."
What do you do?
I don't know.
We actually ended up calling Fish and Wildlife, and they told after telling my dad how stupid I was, they told me to take it to pause.
To pause?
To pause the animal shelter place, and I guess because they had a freezer to put it in to figure out how it died.
Oh, I see.
All right.
Okay.
I was like,
that
and
makes
then
sense.
what?
Yeah, like what the hell are you going to do with that thing?
Now listen, all
Yeah,
the
they can't
residents.
rehabilitate a dead one.
I want the residents of Washington State to understand something. All right. So we've been here for a long time now, but we moved here from the East Coast. All right. And so as long as you're living on the East Coast, you don't see many bald eagles. You just do not. Okay. So your only real association with it is every Jeep commercial as it was in the 80s, and the fact this is the U.S. bird, man.
Yeah.
It is the bald eagle. This thing comes screaming. When you say Patriot, it just comes screaming out of the air.
It's our money.
Lands on your shoulder, you know what I mean? And it's armed with a gun, and we're going to take everything down. So this is your idea of a bald eagle. We moved to Washington State, and they're flying around everywhere, and you're like, oh, man, this is really cool, right? Because growing up over there, man, like, this is
It would be rare.
And everyone in the state hates them. You know, they're like, yeah, they're goddamn scavengers. Yeah, they dig through my trash. It was just like this amazing thing. And they're like, yeah, we understand symbolically what they are. As a bird, we effing hate them. So when I went back east, I'm like, they're not so popular there, man. When they dig through your trash and leave crap all over the yard or snatch up someone's chihuahua, I'm like, it's just not the same reverence.
Have you seen what they do up in Alaska?
Oh, they're dumpster diving at grocery stores and attacking people.
I mean, it's
who
like
are
it's
taking-
a problem.
Right. And again,
At least down here, there's enough room that they're still out there.
Yeah, but people, it's just funny. They're like, yeah, we hate them. We know what it means.
Do you know anybody that's a birder?
What's a bird, like bird watches?
Like the bird watch?
No.
I do not.
I've never met a bird watch.
Do you know anyone?
Yeah.
Really?
And it's weird because when you're with them, you'll just be like driving in a car and they'll be like, bald eagle! What the hell? I mean,
Okay, man. We get it.
all right. Cool.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-ROCK.
They get real excited.
Oh, sure. Hello, Levi. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Hey, first time caller. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, thank you,
I
man.
appreciate that.
I think I got a good story for you.
All right.
I was probably 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there, where you've probably got more balls and brains at the time.
Definitely.
And, yeah, grew up in the country, and we had burning barrels. Do you guys know what burning barrels are?
Sure.
Yeah.
50-gallon oil drum that you just throw your garbage into every couple of weeks, and you just burn it, light it on fire, and burn it all up.
Burn all the wrapping paper at Christmas.
Oh, yeah. So we did that on a regular basis. And my buddies and me, we live in the country, so neighbors are, a couple fields away.
Right.
And we get together, and we're just, we're bored. And so we like to blow stuff up. Well, we decided, couldn't figure out how to make a bomb. Of course, there's no way you can figure that out at that age. So we just started coming up with ideas, and we probably put about 2 gallons of gasoline into the burning barrel. And we tossed a match in there, thought that would blow up. Nope, it just lit on fire. So we had some blue spray paint cans in the garage, and went over to the garage, grabbed some spray paint, trying to think, well, we got to get this thing to blow up fast. So we thought, stupidly, that taping the nozzle down would cause it to ignite faster. Release it, spray it, it'd follow the trail into the spray paint can and blow up. That was the theory.
Sure.
Well, we were dead wrong. So we toss it, we tape it down, it's spray and paint, we toss it in the burning barrel with the fire going and hiding behind trees, nothing's happening. Of course, somebody has to go check. So that would be me. Went to go check. As soon as I put my head over that barrel, it just exploded. Boom. And I couldn't hear anything. Percussion, heads ringing. I can see my mom on the deck about 100 yards away screaming at me. I could figure from her mouth she's saying, "What are you doing?" And the natural response was nothing.
Of course, no matter what. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. That's the default answer.
Every time there could be blood spatter on the wall and body parts. Nothing.
Nothing is the answer. Right. So I didn't realize it, but my face is blue. bright blue. So I couldn't get away with nothing. So my hat was turned around backwards. This thing, what happened was the bottom of the spray paint can blew out. The pressure was being released. That's why it took longer to blow up, because we're releasing pressure.
Right.
So it took longer to blow up. Didn't factor that in. The bottom of the spray paint can blows out, hits me in the forehead, because there was a big circle in my forehead once you wash the blue paint away, and then it just covered me with hot blue paint. burned my eyebrows off. The little hole in the hat, when you turn your hat around backwards, that little hole right there in the middle of your forehead.
Yeah.
Burned a nice little, half circle there. And, that was the story.
I would have called you Dr. Manhattan from that point on.
Yeah. Boys like blowing stuff up. They just like
we do, man. I don't know what it is. It seems like it's not like your parents don't sit you down and say, "Hey, when you get a little bit older, I want you to take these matches, find anything flammable, and try to come up with a way to make an explosion." It is oddly like this natural progression of things, man.
We had wicks, we had
everything.
4F gunpowder that we could put in a line and catch it on fire just to watch it run down the street. You name it.
If you could light it on fire or blow it up,
M80s.
And you do it.
All kinds of, not fireworks that you would want to see, just really loud.
Yeah,
fireworks.
you want the explosion.
Tape a bunch of things together, you know what I mean, in a brick.
That was always the thing.
If
we tape these all together.
It always involved, and honest to God, like little army men. I mean,
sure.
Do all kinds. We'd blow up army. We blow up just toys that we
everything.
had. You name it.
If you were done with the toys, you could blow. Like, go to the garage. These are the toys that we're too old to play with. The parents will never actually take to Goodwill. So, like Fisher Price, we'd blow the living hell out of those things. Man.
The best thing we blew up as far as how it looked. My buddy had a pinata for his birthday.
Ooh,
and the pinata was a unicorn. So whoever busted
How old was he that he had a unicorn pinata?
I don't know what the selection was like.
I was going to say, what's the selection in West Virginia of pinatas?
So, but anyway,
at this time,
he busted the bottom open of the unicorn, all the candy spit out of the guts, the intestines, but the unicorn was still intact.
Sure.
So it was still like standing up. You could still it wasn't ripped apart or anything like that. Just had a hole in the underside. So we decided we were going to blow that thing up. Man, that was awesome. That thing, I mean, a million pieces. It was perfect. It was like the one thing that we blew up where I was like, now that was cool.
If you ever tell my daughter that you blew up a unicorn, just knowing how she might stab you in the neck.
Oh, man, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Unicorn pinata.
Doesn't matter. It does not matter, Ted. Unicorn's a unicorn.
Good or bad, what would be the story about you being a kid? 206-421-RUN.
Man, I'd like to go to a party with a pinata.
I know.
It's harder to bust open
I
than
did
you
last
think.
year. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about.
What was the last time anyone else has been to a party with a pinata that we were involved with?
I don't know.
It had to be like 45 years ago.
It was the nip yada. It was full of miniatures.
Ooh, okay. I
You
would
could
get
take
on
a little
that.
nip.
Huh? How big was this pinata? Was it just standard
Yeah,
size?
it says 40.
Okay.
Not that big.
And how many minis could you fit in there? About?
I think there was, you pre-buy it, so it's already preloaded.
Okay.
I want to say there was like 15 of them, but you're right. It came with a little stick. That wasn't going good. It was halftime of a Seahawks game. I was with a few other people. Well, my buddy Brad. And he was like, here's a Louisville Slugger. He's like, somebody pitched me that.
We're getting
that damn pinata. And then we busted it.
Jesus. Hello, Andres. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how's it going?
Hola!
Hola, bitches. I've tried to call you many times, but the first time I've been connected. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. We're doing great, man. Thanks for keep trying.
All right, man. Hey, I like that story you guys were telling before me. I grew up in Warren, Ohio, a suburb of Youngstown. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Sure.
Youngstown, yes.
Right there on 70.
Yeah. So I had many near misses.
Once again, bedroom callers,
Struggle out
here
the
are
gate.
the 7 words you can't say on the radio.
First time.
Sucker, mother, and please keep those words in mind when calling. Now, back to the program.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen.
People from
Sorry about
Ohio.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So my story is about, I don't know if you've ever seen back in the day when I was growing up, we had really like obsolete cable, like with the slider selector.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when HBO first came out, Eddie Murphy Delirious, I don't know if you remember that, coming out on HBO was like a big thing.
Oh, we remember.
It was like his first. Okay, so I watched that with my grandma. I don't know if you could remember.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did your grandma know what she was going to hear and was just like, I don't care? Or was she like, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you?
Well, that's what she was, OMG.
baby. Why you got your D in the sink?
She watched the whole thing with me. It was just her and me. So that was a pretty memorable experience. I mean, I got many things I tried to call you about, and I can't remember.
No, that's a memorable one.
Yeah.
It's one of the things we never told our parents who watched it. We had a substitute teacher in, oh, God, what do you call it? Can't remember the class, but we had a substitute teacher. And he's like, he closes the door, right? And he's like, hey, listen, y'all. We ain't going to do anything real in this class anyway, but I got a cassette. It was Delirious, not Delirious. One of the two. I got the cassette of Delirious. We're all like, please play. Please play. We're in 8th grade. He said, you can't tell nobody. We did. We sat in that class and laughed our ass off,
boom,
man.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, Jesus, Lord. Help me. Oh, Jesus, Lord. Ryan Castle coming up with Sin Spin with 2 songs with the same name here on Tuesday. You are listening to The Men's Room.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.